baby steps.
We just passed the 1-year anniversary of the arrest of Keffe D for the murder of Tupac Shakur. And Keffe's trial has been delayed twice and is currently scheduled to begin in March of 2025. But over the summer, there were 3 bail hearings for his case that provided major drama, with accusations of perjury and even police brutality.
I think they were sent by them to beat me up.
This is the story of how Keffe's bail request turned into a total disaster.
Hey, you just choose something in the box.
Back in January of 2024, a judge set Keffe D's bail at $750,000. And while normally that would require 10% cash up front, the bail bond companies in this case have requested 15% down instead, which means Keffe has to come up with $112,500 in cash. And in order to post bail, the court has what's called a source hearing, so they can determine the source of the bail funds is legitimate. At a previous status hearing for this case, Keffe claimed that the media circus in the courtroom was scaring off family members of his who were willing to put up the money for his bail, but who don't want their face on TV and all that media attention, and he wanted to know if the source hearing could happen privately.
I got family that's hesitant to come in here to help me out on the bail because of the media and the circus that's going on. And they want to know could they do it privately or perhaps file an affidavit or something.
Well, that request was apparently denied, and a very public bail hearing was held on June 25th after music manager Whack 100, aka Cash Jones, offered to bail Keffe out. And this hearing is where things immediately started to go off the rails. The hearing starts by the judge saying she wants to make sure Keffe isn't paying his bail with money from talking about the case.
And so ultimately the reason I sat this, the purpose of the source hearing was because of the peculiar procedural history of this case and the facts here was really to ensure that the bond is not posted with proceeds from talking about the murder or killing of Mr. Shakur.
Jones claims the money is coming from his business, and he claims he knows Keffe's son and that Keffe is a friend. And importantly, he claims the bail money is a gift and that Jones isn't benefiting financially from it. And this is very important information, as we will find out.
How do you know Mr. Davis, sir?
I know him through passing. I know his son. I know him. We sat out, we talked a few times.
Sir, are you deriving any benefit financially from Mr. Davis's release?
No, I'm not.
The prosecution immediately calls this into question. First, when asked how he's friends with Keffe, Jones's answer is pretty vague.
All right, I want to turn your attention. We were provided a letter by Mr. Arnold that said that you had known Mr. Davis and his family for many years. Is that right?
I mean, they're a pillar of our community, especially the urban community. Well, I know his sister. I know him. I know his son.
And then they ask him straight up whether he has any plans to do a television series with Keffe. And this very specific question really should tell everyone in that courtroom that prosecutors probably already know something and they know the answer to this question already.
All right, and so the other thing you say in the letter that Mr. Arnold provided to us is that the money is a gift and Mr. Davis is not obligated to repay. Is that right?
That's right.
Do you have any contract between you and Mr. Davis?
Not as of yet.
Have you ever stated that you planned on getting Mr. Davis out as long as he did a stipulation with you to do a television series with you?
No, I have said this story will be a very interesting story.
If someone were to say that the money provided here to bail Mr. Davis out is not from you, would that be the truth or a lie?
Be a lie.
Okay. If someone said you are being used as a front, would that be the truth or a lie?
That would be a lie.
If somebody said that there's a movie company putting up the money for you. Would that be a truth or a lie?
What company?
A movie company.
No, that would be a lie.
Okay.
So prosecutors then play a clip from an interview that Jones did on YouTube where he claimed he wanted to bail out Keffe so that they could make a TV show together.
You gonna bail out Keffe D? It's always satisfied. With the stipulations that I do the series on, people are watching.
In response to this, Jones claims he just said that in the interview for entertainment purposes. But unfortunately for Keffe, prosecutors also had a jailhouse phone call where Jones discusses this plan with Keffe to make a TV show around Keffe once they get him out on house arrest.
You got Lady Ray story, Joe story, Pepper Diddy, Jeff Jones did.
They're talking about whether or not Mr. Davis has signed the contract, that Mr. Davis confirms that he has signed the contract.
And at this point in the hearing, Keffe tries to defend himself and his own lawyer cuts him off.
On the contract where you raided my house, all this stuff.
Okay.
The DA also has a jailhouse phone call between Keffe and his wife, where he tells her that Jones doesn't have the money and that he's acting as a front. He literally uses the word front for the owner of an entertainment company, and that's who's really putting up this money.
The Jewish man that owned a fucking movie company, Jasmine and the fucking money that owned a fucking movie company. They just using him as a front, so it won't look like they did it.
And then toward the end of this hearing, his attorney claims they've been fielding calls almost every other day from people who want to do a show or other entertainment project on this case with Keffe.
To be honest, Your Honor, I get the calls almost every other day in regards to, some kind of series or something that somebody wants to produce.
It's incredible to me that talking publicly on TV about this crime is what got Keffe into this situation in the first place. And yet Keffe is here talking about going on TV again, ostensibly to discuss this case even more, even as he's facing trial for it. It's kind of wild to me. So in closing at the end of this hearing, the prosecution claims, quote, a fraud is being perpetrated on this court. And the judge says that this hearing has left her with more questions than answers.
A fraud is being perpetrated on us, one way or the other.
After this hearing, I'm left with more questions than answers.
And the following day, the judge denies Keffe's bail. A month later, Keffe is back in court after his attorney renews his bail motion. And this hearing will end in Keffe ranting against former detective Greg Kading. But first, his attorney argues that Keffe shouldn't be prevented from being paid to tell his story about the Tupac case. And what this goes to is most states have a law that prohibits criminals from profiting from their crimes, referred to as a Slayer statute or a Son of Sam law, which is named after serial killer David Berkowitz, the Son of Sam killer, who sold his life rights in the 1970s, and people got mad about it, so they passed the law to try and prevent people from doing that. But Keffe's lawyer argues that his client hasn't been convicted of this crime, and therefore this law doesn't apply to him.
At this point, since he's not convicted, you cannot tell Mr. Davis he cannot receive those monies. He can receive any monies in regards to this crime until he's convicted.
And honestly on that, I agree with him. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a First Amendment guy, and I agree with that. But then, hilariously, in trying to prove that his client would have more to talk about on a show than just Tupac's murder that would interest people, his lawyer also argues that his client was a notorious gang leader, a drug trafficker, and, quote, the godfather of Compton.
His life story, he was one of the most notorious gang leaders of all of Southern California. He ruled Compton. He was the godfather of Compton. Basically, he had a drug trade that extended from here to New York to Little Rock, Arkansas. He was doing 350 kilos at a time with the Mexican cartel.
Which the prosecution team will promptly thank him for conceding.
I do appreciate Mr. Arnold conceding that Mr. Davis is a notorious gang leader, that he was the godfather of Compton. I appreciate those admissions.
And then the judge addresses an issue with Keffe's attorney himself that I think has been brewing for a while. Since taking over the case, his attorney has held little press conferences in the hallway of the courthouse after most or all of the hearings. And during these conferences, he has been asked why he took on the case. And Keffe's lawyer has cited the notoriety of the case, how it's the biggest case since O.J. Simpson.
Well, it's the biggest case that since OJ. Why wouldn't you want to take this case on?
And then, just 2 days before this hearing happened, The Sun published an article with quotes from this attorney where he repeated this again and added that he wants to be in his own TV show about the case, saying different news agencies, different TV shows have all come up and said, hey, when Keffe gets out, we want to follow you. We want to see the preparation of defense. And so it is like Johnny Cochran. We could still go watch that old film of him, and that if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. So, of course, if somebody wants to film it, let's go. And he adds that he wants to be able to preserve his legacy with this case. And here in this hearing, the judge challenges him over this, because she's seen this article.
It seems like your end goal here is to make some sort of show on the prep for this trial, according to news articles that have been sent to me.
Like, again, you read so many things about it. That's not my
quote to the Sun is not accurate?
That's not my end goal here, Your Honor. My end goal is to win the trial. Okay? Whether they want to follow me with cameras, they can do that. Are we going to benefit by that? I promise you, as an officer of the court, we have not signed a contract, nor have we been given any financial incentive to do something like that, Your Honor.
Okay. This case isn't going to be your legacy?
The prosecutors claim that Cash Jones may have perjured himself in the previous hearing over his claims about the source of the bail funds.
Mr. Jones lacks any credibility whatsoever based on the evidence that we've heard. Your Honor, I would go so far as to say that he perjured himself.
And at this hearing, Jones is conspicuously absent. He video conferenced in last time, now he's not here. Later in this hearing, the prosecution presents a new piece of evidence that relates to Keffe's attorney's claims that have been going on for several months now, where he says that there's no proof that Keffe was in Las Vegas the night of Tupac's murder.
They have to provide evidence, number one, of a gun, number two, of a car, most importantly, that Mr. Davis was even in Las Vegas at the time. Right now, I can be forthright and say we haven't seen any of that evidence.
You know, other than Keffe's multiple confessions that he was there, of course. And this new evidence that the prosecution enters is a statement by a former friend of Keffe's named Corey Edwards, aka C-Ray. And in this statement, Edwards had placed Keffe in Las Vegas that night of Tupac's murder when Edwards did an interview with former detectives Greg Kading and Tim Brennan in 2006.
In 2006, there is a live witness who puts the four people the suspect says in Las Vegas leaving to go harm Suge and Tupac Shakur. That witness is corroborated by records from a hotel that establishes he was here, and we know that he's a member of this gang. But the most important temporal relationship here is he makes that statement 2 years before any confession the defendant ever made.
And by citing this evidence and then Keffe's lawyer mentioning Greg Kading,
We just got the box, the Greg Kading box.
This courtroom has just brought up probably Keffe's two least favorite people on earth, Corey Edwards and Greg Kading. And this will absolutely set him off in a rant at the end of this hearing. And you can already see him here wanting to say something.
Your case status check then on trial readiness.
That'll be August 20th.
May I address the court?
I think we're done.
I got something to say.
You want to say to Mr. Arnold, and he can say, he represents you, so ultimately you represent yourself, you can talk at will, but if somebody
Mr.
represents
Greg
you.
Kading had them pockets at his house for 15 years in his attic, doing all kind of TV interviews. That them boxes should not be allowed in the
He's
case.
just going to talk about it.
Yeah, the boxes should not be allowed. The tainted evidence, everything. The man, he broke a proffer agreement and he broke the law, all kind of stuff.
So I think what the state said ultimately is that they don't think there's going to be anything in those boxes that they're going to use.
They just used something in them boxes. They just used something in them boxes from 1996, and they know they did it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly we are.
They're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside.
And this will lead to dozens of headlines like this one after this hearing claiming sparks fly. After Keffe's rant against him in this hearing, Greg Kading tells the Associated Press, "I don't lose sleep over the fact that a confessed murderer is at odds with me for sharing information about his involvement in a murder." As wild as these first two bail hearings were, the third and final one in August somehow tops both of them. First of all, for some reason, Keffe's lawyer isn't there in person and he has to phone in.
Mr. Ball and Mr. Giacomo appearing for the state. Mr. Davis is present in custody. Where's Mr. Arnold?
He's on iPhone on here.
And then he requests they delay the trial again because he has another case coming up and then he's going to leave the country. So the trial is pushed from this November to March of 2025. And then things get really crazy related to Keffe's bail. The judge claims that the bail bond company forwarded 2 letters to her, supposedly from an entertainment company that had sent Cash Jones the bail money, but that it's the same letter from 2 different people at the company, like it was just copied, and that one of the people doesn't appear to work there, and that the address on one of the letters goes to a doctor's office.
And then I received the following letter from an Adam W. at AG on AG letterhead. On June 11, 2024, we sent a wire of $112,500 to 100 Entertainment Incorporated for this invoice, admin, Adam W. And then there was a number and an email. So I had my law clerk call and email numerous times, left several voicemails. We never received a response from Mr. W. Then on 8/2, I received another letter from a Shonya Pittman Roach. We did research her and did find that she had a connection to AG Entertainment, but her name was ultimately misspelled and the address on the letter returned to a doctor's office. So the letter ultimately said the exact thing, verbatim, as what we had received from Mr. W.
And they have trouble getting a hold of people at the entertainment company, and then when they finally do reach someone, a person there claims that they were just told what to put in the letter to the court and that they didn't need to know anything else about it.
Ultimately, my law clerk was able to talk to Ms. Roach. She did tell us that there's no Adam W. who works there. She doesn't know who sent that first letter. We asked her why this was identical language that was included in both letters. She indicated that Smiley Bail Bonds reached out to her and told her what to write. We just need letterhead or an email from you, AG Touring, representative or accountant for this company acknowledging the transaction. No other details need to be explained, as AG Touring has no involvement with this transaction.
Keffe's lawyer claims Cash Jones has been receiving death threats and that Jones no longer wants any part of this.
I'm also aware that Mr. Jones, again, because of his involvement in testifying at the last court, 2 court proceedings ago, that he's been receiving death threats. So Cash Jones no longer, wants to give testimony or, show, the public that he's involved in this.
And the prosecution's response is fierce, suggesting the bail bond company may have committed a felony and going after Cash Jones himself.
Your Honor, first, as an officer of the court, I would advise the Smiley Court bail bondman not to give a statement, because after seeing his letter, it appears that he submitted a false document to this court, which is a felony, which the state takes very seriously. Be advised that that will not go uninvestigated. Number 2, I'm not surprised that Cash Jones doesn't want to come here and testify, given how his testimony came off last time. He absolutely lied to this court with regard to his representations as to why he was providing the funds and where the funds were coming from. It was demonstrably false testimony.
In the end, the judge denies Keffe's bail motion again, and once again, Keffe has something to say, and this time it's directed at the prosecutors. Keffe claims that deputies attacked him in jail and that they were sent by the prosecution. Obviously, this is a bold claim.
The motion to reconsider is denied. The counter motion is also denied.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
This dude, what's your name, sir?
I'm not going to address you, sir.
All right, Mr. Davis.
The August 9th, 2 deputies from two COs came to my cell, asked for the extra mattress. I think they were sent by them to beat me up. And they brutally beat me up, they attacked me and assaulted me. What?
You've made very serious allegations regarding police brutality and the DA's orchestrating some sort of attack on you.
My lawyers,
I wasn't aware of any of this.
Oh, all this
So you're
night they
saying
did
that
it.
it's,
His
so
name,
that they can say that you attacked them. It was never brought to my attention, so there's nothing to connect that allegation. Ultimately, I think you need to be aware of the things that you're saying.
They
you
attacked me and assaulted me. The whole place seen it.
All right.
And they got the bubble little camera there.
If they're
I asked them for their name. They ran them out the door. And that's wrong.
Submit it to me. Let Mr. Arnold know so he can submit it to me and I can review it, okay?
Okay.
All right, I think.
3 days later, Las Vegas police publicly deny any assault happened. They claim that they discovered contraband in Keffe's cell while conducting a routine search, and that Davis became physically uncooperative and was subsequently handcuffed. At no point did Davis complain of injury. As Keffe is leaving the courtroom at the end of this third bail hearing, he appears to say something to one of the prosecutors, but it's not clear what he says. So it appears that Keffe is going to stay in jail while awaiting trial, and if this is how the pretrial hearings are going, I can only imagine what the trial itself is going to be like in a few months.